force.
Can you explain to those listening what exactly deconfliction is? Because that's a common term we use in police work, but not a lot of people understand what that means.
Sure. So if I'm doing a case, let's say, and I've got a target identified, and I know him to be, like I said, maybe I just know his street name, and his name's Demon, and Demon is a Hispanic male, and I know his address. Maybe I know a car that he drives, but I don't have a plate. I enter all that in when I'm going to do so. So we're going to do an investigation. So we're going to go out and we're going to do a buy walk. So we're going to go out and we're going to buy drugs using a confidential informant from that person. And I'm going to enter in all the information that I have at the time. And then if that street name, if that address, if that car, if that phone number, any of that hits through the deconfliction network, and this is all over the West Coast from California all the way up to Washington, Alaska, Hawaii, um, it will automatically call us back from the watch center and say, hey, we have either a hit because you're doing an operation in an area where another agency has an operation going that's a block away, or is at the Target parking lot and you're doing it at the 76 gas station, for example. So what it does is it, one, gets you in touch with any other entities that are working at that same time in your location. And then if for some reason you're entering in a target that's already been identified and is already an ongoing investigation, it prevents both essentially doing two independent investigations where all of a sudden, like, hey, it's time to hit your search warrant after you've done your investigation, and boom, someone else is there the day before, or you hit it and then someone else calls and is like, hey, we had a case on this guy and you guys stepped on our toes. So it's preventing, first and foremost, blue on blue. So any type of situation where cops are taking down other cops, and that has happened historically throughout the country, and so it prevents that from happening. So it's a safety thing, but then it also is doing that networking piece of making sure that if other cases are going, that you're getting connected with those other detectives, and giving you an opportunity to share that information.
Yep, yep. It's deconfliction's important, especially in narcotics world.
Oof.
I did property crimes for quite a while. We do buy busts and stuff like that, buybacks, whatever. And you're always doing deconfliction. You don't want to start messing with somebody else's bigger investigation, especially when it's property crimes. It's not homicide. It's not, you know, typically it's not gang related. Sometimes it is. But you don't want to screw up somebody else's investigation on them, especially if they have a bigger case going on them when all I'm doing is getting like a, state jail felony versus, second degree felony, whatever it is that they got going on. So deconfliction is important. You can also combine forces, which is nice. You can get more resources towards somebody that you didn't otherwise have because you didn't know other people were looking into them. And there's all sorts of deconfliction out there. Even in the property crimes world, there's a program called Leads Online where you're entering in property and you're seeing stuff through pawn shops and things of that nature, and you'll see somebody else is following the same suspect that you're following, that's pawning stuff, and then you can hit them up. Oh, have you seen my guy? I'm looking for this type of property he sold, and then the next thing you know, you got another lead, another follow, and more resources to go towards your case, which is nice. So deconfliction, you guys are going to hear that a lot on, especially if we're talking narcotics, because they have to deconflict everything because it is a huge safety risk. A lot of officers have been hurt or worse, and even suspects. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but we don't want our suspects getting hurt either. That just creates a big headache for us, and it ain't worth it. So I want to go back a little bit though, sir. You do your, we've got that you've been a cop 20 plus years. Um, everybody's got to start in patrol or at the bottom, wherever it is you're at. If you're a sheriff, you usually start in the jails. If you're a city cop, you start in patrol. FBI, I'm assuming you just sit and watch people investigate so you can learn how to invest. I don't know how that works over there, but where did you start and what was the catalyst for narcotics?
Yeah, so I think One, just because I know you have listeners who are wanting to get into law enforcement, it took me 2.5 years of testing before I actually got hired by the sheriff's office that I work for in Eastern Washington. And I tested, I went to college over in Seattle and I tested with Seattle PD, King County, which would be two of the biggest agencies in the state. I actually went down and tested with LAPD at one point. Like I was just trying to get on anywhere I could. And at the time, and this is dating myself, but this was early 2000s. I mean, I was competing against 800 other candidates. I mean, it's a totally different world now. And, most law enforcement, as far as I know, everywhere in the country is scrambling to find candidates. But when I was
Yep.
testing, it was a very competitive environment. And I was essentially told, hey, you're 21, 22 years old. You have no life experience. Like, go do something else and then come back. So, um, I just essentially was willing to go anywhere to to follow my calling and what I would say has been my dream to be in law enforcement. So I get hired um, and start out on patrol. So I work for a county that's 2,900 square miles. Um, we have 8 to 9 deputies, or I should say 7 deputies, a corporal, and a sergeant covering that area. Primary rural county. We have a lot of,
Shit.
yeah, we're backup can be 20 to 30 minutes away. And
That's why
so,
I like being a city cop.
yeah, well, it's different perspectives, right? I mean, and one of
Mm,
the things that I actually am very grateful for was you had to learn how to talk to people and you had to learn how to, it's the coin term de-escalate, but you had to figure out how to establish rapport and you had to figure out how to basically delay and wait for your backup to show up. And so you realize how to get rapport building going, how to get the gift of gab, how to just find something in common that you could talk to someone with for a while before the cavalry showed up to help you out. But